Respect is not something you demand. It's something you command. It comes from who you are, not from what you beg for. If people don't respect you, it's not completely their fault. It's because of what you allow. Today, let's explore 5 harmful habits you must drop if you truly want respect in life. The moment you let go of these habits, the world will begin to see you differently. Respect isn't about appearing strong. Remove these habits and watch how everything changes. When you constantly explain yourself, you give people the chance to question your value. The more you try to justify yourself, the weaker your position becomes. Think about it. Have you ever seen a truly confident person explain their decisions like they're in a courtroom? Does a lion in the jungle roar to prove to the deer that he is the king? No, he just is. When you begin explaining every single action, you're allowing doubt to enter the conversation. Imagine you choose to take a break from social media for your mental well-being. Someone asks, why aren't you online anymore? Instead of just saying, I wanted to focus on myself, you give a long explanation. Oh, I've been overwhelmed with work. I read an article about how social media harms the brain. I waste so much time scrolling, so I decided to step away. Stop. See the difference when you simply say, I just felt like it. Thank you. That's it. No room for debate or questions. When you explain too much, people feel hesitation, and hesitation invites doubt. Picture another example. You choose not to go to a family gathering because you need rest. Someone asks why, and you start giving an essay. Work's been tiring, you haven't slept, too much going on. Then they begin questioning you. Oh, come on, it's just one evening, or you never come to family events. But if you had just said, I won't be able to come, and left it there, they would have had nothing to argue against. The more reasons you give, the more they have to challenge it. Look at influential people, leaders, visionaries, celebrities. Do they over-explain themselves? No, because they understand the strength in saying something clearly and firmly. When you justify too much, you give away your power. Think of it like this. Does Rolls-Royce ever explain why their cars are expensive? Do they post long essays convincing people to buy them? No, they just exist, and people respect them because they don't beg for approval. Apply this to your own life. Say you've started waking up at 5 a.m. to focus on your goals. A friend asks, why are you doing that? Instead of saying, I read that successful people do it and I want to try it, just say, I like it. The less you explain, the more confident you appear. People who are sure of themselves don't need to prove it. You don't see diamonds apologizing for being shiny. You don't see mountains explaining why they stand tall. Think of a time in school or at work when you made a decision. Maybe you didn't want to join a group activity. The moment you said no, people questioned you. If you over-explained, they pressured you more. But if you just said, I'm not interested, and left it at that, they'd have nothing to hold on to. This is what sets apart people who are respected from those who are taken for granted. But the worst part, when you over-explain, people stop taking you seriously. Imagine a boss who keeps explaining every rule, trying to make everyone happy. Eventually, employees think, if he needs to explain so much, maybe even he's unsure. But a strong leader says, this is the rule, and that's it. People follow. Now think about your own life. Where do you over-explain? With family, friends, at work? Each time you feel the need to justify, pause. Ask yourself, would a confident person explain this much? If not, then say less. Think about a relationship where one partner always feels they need to explain everything, like a girlfriend justifying why she needs alone time, or a boyfriend explaining why he didn't reply instantly. It weakens their stance. The moment you start explaining too much, You lower your position. Here's a truth that will change how you see everything. People respect those who are clear and confident in their choices. If you respect your decisions, others will too. But if you keep justifying them, you're basically saying, I need your approval to be okay with what I choose. That's a sure way to lose respect. If someone questions your boundaries, don't justify them. Stand by them. If someone asks why you live a certain way, don't write a book. Give a simple sentence. If someone challenges your choices, don't fall into the trap of convincing them. Be firm. Because when you stop over-explaining, you start earning respect, not through force or arguments, but through the calm, unshakable strength of someone who knows who they are. A lion doesn't care about what sheep think. The habit of always seeking approval will keep you trapped forever. You bend, shrink, and say yes when you mean no, just because you're scared of letting others down. But think, what about letting yourself down? Who's living your life? You or them? The moment you stop trying to please everyone, you free yourself from their control. Picture this. You're at work. Your boss asks you to stay late, but you've got personal plans. You think, if I say no, he'll think I'm lazy or unhelpful, so you say, sure, I'll stay. You're tired, but you smile through it because you're more afraid of disappointing others than yourself. This is the trap of people-pleasing. The world keeps taking from you because you keep giving. Think about a friend who always calls you to unload their problems. You might be struggling yourself, but you still answer because you're scared of being called selfish. But the people who truly respect you will never expect you to hurt yourself to make them comfortable. And the people who do expect that, they'll never really respect you anyway. The need to be liked is a quiet prison. You walk into a room and adjust yourself depending on who's there. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You nod even when you disagree. You smile when you want to cry. You say sorry when you've done nothing wrong, all because you want people to like you. But here's a question. What's the point of being accepted by others if you're rejecting yourself? Have you ever seen a lion apologize for being too loud? Have you ever seen an eagle fly lower so pigeons feel better? Truly powerful people don't make themselves smaller to please others. They live in their full strength, and the world either respects them or stays out of their way. Stop trying to please everyone. Not because you don't care, but because if you always put others first, you'll eventually run empty. Think of your energy like a glass of water. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you pour out a bit. Every time you put others above yourself, more water leaves. One day, the glass will be empty. And when that happens, who's going to fill it back up for you? You're not a slave to anyone's opinions. You don't owe your time, your peace, or your energy to those who demand it. Look at the most powerful people in history. They didn't rise by making everyone happy. They weren't legends because they were agreeable. They stood their ground. They were okay being disliked. They walked their own path, even if that meant walking alone. Now, take a look at your own life. How many times have you smiled when you felt like crying? How many times have you stayed silent just to avoid conflict? How many times have you done things you hated to keep the peace? What did you get from it? Imagine a man who always says yes. He's the first to help, the last to rest, always available, always dependable, always agreeable. Then one day he needs help. He looks around and there's no one. because the people he spent years pleasing only cared about what he could give them, not who he was. If you want respect, stop fearing disappointment. Let people be upset. Let them think you're selfish. Let them leave, because the ones who stay, the ones who truly understand, they are the ones who matter. Think of a woman who always puts her family first. She never complains. She never says no. And people begin to expect it. They stop appreciating it. And then one day she finally says, "No, I can't do this today." And suddenly they call her difficult. They say she's changed. But the truth is, she didn't change. She just stopped letting people take her for granted. If you live only to please others, you'll end up feeling empty. If you constantly seek approval, freedom will always feel out of reach. Trying to make everyone happy is a cycle. You give, they take, and when you have nothing more to offer, they quietly move on. You think you're earning love, but really, you're making yourself easier to leave behind. So now imagine this. You walk into a room and suddenly, it doesn't matter who likes you or not, you speak your truth with confidence. You say no without carrying guilt. You stay true to your choices. And then something amazing happens. The people who only wanted to use you disappear. But the ones who truly see your worth, they stay. Because when you stop chasing approval, people start to respect you. When you no longer try to blend in, you become unforgettable. And when you quit pleasing everyone else, you finally begin living for yourself. Why do you need others to tell you that you're enough? Why wait for claps, praise, or someone to say it's okay to be who you are? When you look for validation from others, you hand over control of your self-worth. You give them the power to decide your happiness, your confidence, your identity. And you silently say, "Please tell me I matter." But what if they don't? Do you fall apart? Do you stop believing in yourself just because someone else doesn't? Think of a child showing a drawing to their parents. They wait eagerly for a reaction. If the parent smiles and says something kind, the child feels proud. But if the parent is too busy or doesn't respond, the child starts to doubt. Is it not good? Am I not good? That same child grows up, but the habit remains. Only now, it's not drawings. It's their personality, their goals, their appearance, their choices. They still hold up their life for approval, asking silently, "Do you think I'm good enough?" This is how many people live. They post pictures online and then refresh the page over and over, waiting for likes. They say something clever and glance around, hoping others notice. They dress a certain way, not for themselves, but hoping someone else will find it attractive. They make decisions not for their happiness, but for applause. But what happens when the claps stop? Who are you when nobody is cheering for you? The strongest people don't wait for the world to tell them they're great. They don't need praise to move forward. They keep going whether others cheer or criticize. Think of the most powerful leaders in history. Were they always supported? No. Many were mocked, judged, even hated. But did they quit? No. They didn't need approval. They had belief in themselves. They carried their own purpose. Picture a man who spends his whole life trying to impress others. He works extra hours, buys expensive clothes, drives flashy cars, but deep down he's tired. Because every time he reaches one goal, he has to chase another just to keep people impressed. He's not living for joy, he's living for attention. Then one day, someone younger or richer comes along and people stop noticing him. Suddenly, he feels lost. That's because his self-worth never came from within. It was borrowed from others' admiration. Now picture a woman with a big dream. She wants to start something bold. But whenever she shares it, she hears, "Are you sure?" or "What if it fails?" or "Maybe stay safe." She starts doubting, not because she isn't capable, but because she let other people's doubts get louder than her belief. Then one day, it hits her. Those people aren't living her life. They have no investment in her future. So why do their opinions carry so much weight? You must stop looking for approval, not because you don't care about people, but because if you keep letting them shape your life, you'll never truly live. Think about a tree. It doesn't ask the wind for permission to grow. It doesn't wait for someone to say, "Now you may rise." It simply grows, reaching for the sky, no matter who's watching. There's a story of a warrior who went into battle. People laughed at him, called him weak, said he would fail. He could believe him, but he didn't. And he fought anyway. And in the end, he won. Not because others believed in him, but because he believed in himself first. Look at your life. How many times have you held back because you were waiting for someone to say it was okay? How many dreams have you pushed aside because someone else didn't think they were good enough? How many moments of joy have you missed because you feared judgment? The truth is, the world will always have something to say. Some will cheer for you, others will criticize, some will believe in you, others will laugh. But none of it matters unless you let it matter. You need to become so confident in who you are that praise doesn't inflate you and rejection doesn't crush you. Think of a lion walking in the jungle. Does it look around to check if other animals approve of its roar? No. It roars because that's its nature. It doesn't need applause or permission. It just is. You need to carry that kind of strength too. Do what lights your soul on fire, not because the world says yes, but because you know in your heart it's right for you. Stop waiting. Stop hoping others will notice your worth. Recognize it yourself. Stop waiting for someone to give you a green light. Move forward because you were born to. Stop seeking validation. And watch how people start respecting you, not because you begged for it, but because you didn't need it. How much will you take before you understand your value? How many times will you let someone treat you poorly, overlook you, disrespect you, before you finally say no more? Disrespect isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It hides in jokes that hurt, in being interrupted, in being left out of conversations, and people acting like your voice doesn't matter. And you smile through it to avoid conflict, but every time you stay quiet, it grows. Every time you let it pass, you're showing people how to treat you. You're teaching them that their behavior has no consequences. And so they repeat it again and again, until one day you look in the mirror and the respect you once had for yourself feels gone. Not because they took it, but because you slowly gave it away by settling for less. Think about work. How often have you seen someone cut you off mid-sentence? How often has your hard work gone unnoticed while someone else takes the credit? And what do? You stay polite, you tell yourself it's no big deal, but inside, it stings. Now imagine this. What if you didn't stay silent? What if you said, "Excuse me, I wasn't finished"? What if you looked someone in the eye and showed them you expect to be heard? Think about friendships. How often have you always been the one to check in, listen, support, show up, while they only reach out when they need something? And you make excuses for them. They're probably just busy, but deep down you know the truth. Real respect doesn't come only when it's convenient. It comes consistently. And what about love? How many times have you accepted unclear feelings, mixed signals, or careless treatment just because you were afraid to lose someone? You tolerate the late replies, the broken promises, the way they always seem too busy for you. You tell yourself they probably just love differently. But ask yourself, since when did love mean settling for less? If someone truly loves you, you won't have to beg for attention or effort. Respect in a relationship is not just about kind words. It's about matching actions. And if they keep showing you they don't value you, believe them. Look to nature. A lion doesn't let itself be treated like a kitten. It doesn't hide its power to make others feel more comfortable. Yet so many of us do. We shrink ourselves. We hold back. We accept less just to fit in. But why? Why lower your standards for those who wouldn't lift theirs for you? Respect begins with you, with what you allow, what you walk away from, and what you demand. Set your boundaries, stand by them, and never be afraid to say, enough of staying quiet when your heart wants to speak. Enough of nodding when your spirit wants to shake its head. Enough of making yourself small just to make others feel big. Enough of giving chances to people who only take. You are not here to be used. You are not here to be tolerated. You are here to be respected, valued, and loved for who you truly are, not for what you can offer or how easy you are to deal with. There is no reward for being the most agreeable. There is no medal for being the one who bends the most. All that happens is you forget who you are, trying so hard to be what everyone else wants. You weren't born to be a mirror, only reflecting others. You were born to be a light, something that shines on its own. Some people won't like you once you start setting boundaries. That's okay. Some will leave when you stop giving endlessly. That's okay too. The people who truly care, who truly see you, they will remain. You will lose people, yes, but you will find yourself. And that trade is always worth it. You can't be everyone's comfort and still hold your power. Sometimes your growth will make others uncomfortable. Sometimes your truth will upset those who benefit from your silence. But that is not your burden to carry. You don't have to explain your worth. You don't need to prove your value. You are not for everyone, and that is your strength, not your weakness. Let people misunderstand you. Let them misjudge you. Let them walk away. You don't need to chase anyone who isn't walking with you. The right people won't need explanations. They'll feel your heart without you having to shout. They'll see your soul without you having to prove anything. Stop apologizing for who you are. Stop saying sorry when you are not wrong. Stop lowering your voice to avoid making others feel insecure. You are not made to be silent. You were not made to dim your light. Shine. Because the world needs people who are brave enough to be themselves. You were not born to beg for attention. You were not born to fit into boxes you didn't create. You were not born to wait on the sidelines while others lived loudly. You were born to rise, to speak, to walk with purpose, to love fiercely, to be bold. You were born to be seen, but think about how many days you've wasted replaying what someone said, how they treated you, what they thought. Think about how much of your energy has gone into overthinking instead of just living. Think about all the times you tried to fix yourself just to be liked. But what if you never needed fixing? What if you were never broken? What if the only thing wrong was the belief that you had to earn love through suffering? Peace doesn't come from pleasing others. Peace comes from being real. Peace comes from knowing who you are and standing in that truth, no matter who accepts it or doesn't. When you accept yourself fully, you stop depending on others to do it for you. There is a kind of freedom that comes when you no longer look sideways, when you stop comparing your journey to someone else's, when you stop measuring your worth against someone else's opinion. You start breathing differently. You walk taller. You sleep better. You smile without effort because you're finally enough, not in their eyes, but in your own. Do you know how powerful it is to walk into a room and not need to be the most liked person there, to be okay with just being you? That's the power people can't take away. That's the kind of confidence no amount of praise or rejection can touch. Confidence isn't loud, it isn't arrogant. It's quiet, it's calm. It says, I know who I am, and I like who I am, even if you don't. And when you carry that within you, people feel it. They may not say it, but they sense your strength, and many will respect it. Even those who once tried to dim you. This is your reminder that your life is your own. You don't owe it to anyone to be less than who you are. You don't need to shrink so others can stretch. You don't have to stay silent to keep others comfortable. You don't have to prove yourself to people who don't even try to understand you. Let them judge, let them whisper, let them walk away. Your peace is not worth their approval. Your growth is not worth their comfort. You are not here to be everyone's favorite. You are here to be free. Free to live without fear. Free to rise without apology. Free to be your true, bold, wild, beautiful self. And one day when you look back, you will be proud. Proud not because everyone loved you, but because you loved yourself enough to walk away from anything that made you feel less. Proud because you didn't let the world shape you into something you're not. Proud because you stood tall even when it would have been easier to stay small. So live loudly, dream boldly, speak truthfully, love deeply, and never let anyone make you feel like you have to shrink to be accepted. You don't. You never did. You are not too much. You are not too strong. You are not too loud, too soft, too emotional, too quiet, too weird, too anything. You are exactly enough, just as you are. And anyone who tells you otherwise does not belong on your journey. The world does not need more copies. It needs more originals. The world does not need more people who say yes when they mean no. It needs people who stand firm, speak honestly, and walk their truth no matter who's watching. You are not here to blend in. You are here to stand out. Not for attention, not for applause, but because you were born to shine. And nothing, absolutely nothing, should stop you from doing just that. Never let anyone treat you badly. Don't be afraid to walk away from people who can't see your true worth. The truth is, if someone genuinely respects you, they won't expect you to accept disrespect just to stay connected to them. Real love and real friendship never come with disrespect attached. There's a story about a brave warrior who was once insulted by a powerful king. The king mocked him in front of everyone, thinking the warrior would beg or feel ashamed. But the warrior stood tall and replied, "A lion doesn't respond to the barking of dogs." Then he walked away calmly. He didn't argue or try to prove anything. He simply chose to protect his dignity. That's the kind of strength you need in life. You don't need to explain why you want respect. You don't have to fight to be treated right. Your presence, your confidence, and your boundaries should already show what you will and will not accept. When you finally decide not to accept anything less than you deserve, the whole world starts treating you differently. People who never truly appreciated you will fade away, and those who really value you will step up. You decide how others treat you. When you know your worth, you stop settling for less. You stop making excuses for people who disrespect you. You stop feeling guilty for walking away. That's when your life begins to shift in the right direction. Nothing steals your joy faster than comparing yourself to others. The minute you start looking at someone else's life and wishing yours looked like theirs, you start losing your peace. You forget everything you've done, everything you've survived, and everything you've become. You might see someone else winning and suddenly feel like you're falling behind. But who said this is a race? Who told you that your life has to look like theirs? You have your own journey, your own timing, your own purpose. Think of a runner in a race. If they keep looking to the side to see who's ahead or who's behind, they lose their focus. They get distracted and slow down. The same thing happens when you compare yourself to others. You waste your energy on the wrong things and forget your own goals. Social media makes this worse. You see perfect pictures, smiling couples, luxury vacations, flawless faces, and you start thinking, why isn't my life like that? But what you see online is not the full picture. Most people only show the best parts of their lives, not the struggle or pain behind the scenes. Still, we fall into the trap. We compare ourselves to people we don't even know. We envy their highlights without understanding their behind-the-scenes battles. But the truth is, someone else's beauty doesn't take away from yours. Someone else's success doesn't mean you're failing. There's enough space in this world for all of us to shine. You are not meant to be like anyone else. You are not here to fit into a box. You are not here to copy anyone's life. You are here to grow into the best version of yourself. Don't overlook your blessings just because you're too busy looking at someone else's. The job you complain about might be someone else's dream. The body you criticize could be someone else's goal. The life you're tired of might be the life someone else is praying for. Never forget that. In nature, no flower compares itself to another. The sun doesn't try to be the moon. The eagle doesn't envy the fish. They all thrive in their own way. And so should you. You were born to walk your own path, not to follow someone else's. Imagine two artists, one who's always looking at others and one who focuses on his own work. Who do you think will succeed? The one who stays focused and consistent. Success comes from being fully yourself. When you compare yourself to others, you ignore your own light. You miss your purpose. And sometimes the people you envy are secretly wishing they had your peace, your strength, or your courage. The only person you need to be better than is the one you were yesterday. You don't need to compete with anyone else. Your only job is to grow, improve, and move forward at your own pace. Life is not a competition. There's no finish line. There's no prize for being faster than others. There's only your own journey, your own lessons, and your own growth. You don't need to rush, you just need to keep going. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You don't need to fit in everywhere. You just need to be true to yourself. The right people will see your worth and love you for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. Needing constant approval from others is like living in a prison. You start changing who you are just to be liked. You stay silent when you want to speak. You say yes when you mean no. You lose yourself trying to be accepted. But no matter how hard you try, there will always be someone who doesn't like you. Someone will always criticize you, misunderstand you, or judge you unfairly. That's life. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you show up. People who achieve greatness didn't get there by trying to be liked by everyone. They got there by staying true to their purpose. They faced rejection, stood strong in their truth, and kept moving forward. You are not here to be everyone's favorite. You're here to live your truth. And the more you embrace that, the stronger you become. When you try too hard to impress others, you lose yourself. You stop being real. You start living for attention. But real power comes from being okay with being misunderstood. Being okay with not being liked. Being okay with standing alone if you have to. A lion doesn't care what the sheep think. It walks with strength and confidence. It doesn't need approval from anyone to be powerful. Be like that. Walk with your head high, even when people don't understand you. Stay firm in who you are. People may talk about you. They may leave you. They may doubt you. Let them. You don't need their approval. You need your peace, you need your truth, and you need your courage. You don't need to impress strangers online. You don't need to prove your worth to people who don't even know you. The number of likes or followers you have doesn't measure your value. It doesn't define your greatness. You are powerful when you don't chase validation. You are unstoppable when you trust yourself. You become unbreakable when you stop living for others and start living for your purpose. Walk your path, speak your truth, let your actions show your worth, and never forget, the moment you stop begging for respect and start owning your power, everything begins to change.